Let's bring in Alex Bruesewitz, a close friend of Charlie Kirk, advisor to President Trump's 2024 campaign, in particular with regard to young people and the President Trump's podcast presence during the last campaign. So all of this is very much in your wheelhouse. There was another moment that I just want to quickly play that I thought was really cute, actually, when Vice President Vance talked about, he said, look, I know you guys are nervous asking questions because I've been there myself not too long ago. Watch what he said.
I remember when I was a sophomore in high school, I went to an event at my church, which was a book signing with Oliver North and Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity looks at me and he says, "How are you doing?" And I totally panic and I go, JD. Because I had rehearsed, shaking, and saying my name. My point is, I admire your guys' courage, and please don't be nervous.
What did you make of last night, Alex?
Well, I think the vice president handled himself incredibly well. He's incredibly, let's just say he's a lot more charming now than he probably was when he was asking Sean Hannity that question. And Sean's an intimidating guy. He's a tough guy. But I think the vice president was exceptional last night. He honored Charlie beautifully. I think he spoke eloquently about his Christian faith. And the audience loved him. You had tens of thousands of kids in that room, cheering for him, chanting USA when they took that stage. If you're the Democrats and you're watching that last night, you have to be a little freaked out because there's not a single Democrat who could engage with the audience that way, who would be willing to handle some tough questions and be able to respond without looking at notes. JD is a great asset to the president. He's a great asset to our country, and I think he's got a really big future.
It's interesting that you say that about Democrats and their own reaction to this and their leadership. I do think it was interesting listening to Jake Tapper talk about Gen Z and what he is seeing as he looks at the politics of the moment right now. Watch this.
I think Gen Z is going to be a lot more conservative. I think that just my experience knowing Gen Z kids, my kids and their friends and whatever, I sense much more skepticism of, and I think it is a reaction to Gen Xers and millennials forcing on them progressive views in school.
I mean, that's something we've been talking about for a very long time.
Right. For someone who's always wrong, that's actually the correct observation. So it's fascinating that he's saying that, but he's totally right. Gen Z, I think, is going to be the most conservative generation for a number of reasons. I think President Trump is probably the key reason for that for the Republican Party. And there's some fake polls that say we're losing support with Gen Z. It's not happening. On the Team Trump TikTok account alone, since 2024 election, we have doubled in size. On our Instagram account, we have doubled in size. Over 70% of our followers on TikTok are under the age of 34. And so there's tremendous momentum with Gen Z. The president's policies that he's putting in place, they're helping bring job opportunities back. It's helping, end conflicts in the Middle East and global wars. And so
let me ask you this really quickly, though, Alex. When you listened to the questions last night, because there were some good pointed questions in that crowd, if you had any sort of warning towards your party about young people and anything that politicians might be missing or not paying enough attention to, what might that be?
I think we have to really tackle housing costs, and I think the administration is really focused on that and lowering prices for young people, especially when it comes to starting families. I know it's a very passionate project for the vice president and our entire administration, and so tackling housing costs, I think, is going to be a massive priority for the next 3 years.
That may be Mom Donnie's route to Gracie Mansion next week. We'll see, because that's what he's been talking about a lot. So, Alex Bruesewitz, always good to see you. Thank you for coming by in New York. Nice to have you on set today.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.